biblical verse commanding a person to reprove their fellow is immediately preceded by a verse that's typically understood to prohibit slander. Both rebuke and slander are uses of speech that can potentially be quite harmful, but while one is forbidden, the other is commanded. So how does the juxtaposition of these two commandments inform our understanding of the obligation to confront others for wrongdoing? In this video, we'll take a look at two sources from antiquity that try to answer this question. Both works fall within the broad category of wisdom literature, the Book of Ben Sira and the Testament of Gad. The Book of Ben Sira is a Jewish Hellenistic work that's quite similar to the Book of Proverbs from the Hebrew Bible. In chapter 19 of Ben Sira, we find a series of verses that bring rebuke and slander directly into dialogue. Confront a friend, perhaps he did not do it, or if he did, so that he may not do it again. The opening line of this section charges a person to confront their fellow for potential wrongdoing. But the next line goes on to offer a warning. Confront a friend, for often it is slander, so do not believe everything you hear. On the one hand, Ben Sira encourages us to confront a person when they may have done something wrong. On the other hand, there's a sense of caution that perhaps they are innocent and our knowledge is simply based on slander. Ben Sira goes on to admit that a person may make a slip without intending it, who has not sinned with the tongue. But is the sin of the tongue slander? Or is it confrontation based on inaccurate knowledge? Ben Sira draws a connection between confrontation and slander, suggesting that we should confront a friend who may have done something wrong, but we should also be cautious because perhaps our knowledge is based on slander. Turning to the Testament of Gad, a pseudepigraphic work attributed to Gad, son of Jacob, we find a very different response to the relationship between rebuke and slander. Gad claims that he saved a sheep from the mouth of a bear, but was grievously forced to slaughter it, believing it unable to survive. Gad then reports that his brother Joseph slandered him and his brothers to their father with the claim that he was slaying the best of the flock and eating them. Gad grew angry at his brother Joseph, as he says, because Joseph had not rebuked us to our faces. Gad understands the main difference between rebuke and slander to be a question of confronting someone directly or telling someone else. Ben Sira and the Testament of Gad both draw upon the juxtaposition in Leviticus between the prohibition on slander and the commandment to rebuke. However, they bring slander and rebuke into dialogue in dramatically different ways. Ben Sira blurs the line between the two, while the Testament of Gad distinguishes between rebuke and slander based upon the target audience. The thin line between rebuke and slander brings us back to the sin that lurks at the end of our biblical verse. You must surely reprove your fellow and not incur sin. In our next video, we'll see how the earliest rabbis understand and react to this thread of sin tied to the commandment of rebuke.